All right, this is awesome. Our big interview. Long time no see. Our broadcast colleague, Ricky Carmichael, will be back with you on the broadcast when the playoffs and the World Championship begin. It's obviously fun work with you at Monster Energy Supercross. I know you've been watching the races, hanging out all summer. My first question for you, buddy, is we already asked James Stewart his take. 04, he's dominating the 125 class. You're dominating the 250 class. And all we wanted to talk about in the media and as fans are what happens when they race next year. So give me your take on Jett Lawrence dominating one class, Haiden Deegan dominating the other. What was it like for you back then, and maybe what's it like for these guys?
Yeah, I mean, very similar to what Stu said. And I heard that interaction with you guys on the broadcast. First of all, thanks for having me on. But yeah, very similar to what Stu said, and you're just so focused and honed in on where you're going. And when you have that advantage like Stu had, and luckily for me, on the races where you weren't being challenged maybe as much as you were on certain weekends, yeah, absolutely. You're so focused on who you need to beat, what you need to be doing. But outside of the races, Jason, I would say where I was really focused on was the work at home. Like everything that I was doing in the 125 class, I was more prepping for the following year, kind of like what James was saying in a race situation. He was worried about, focused on what we were doing, and that's where his mindset was the next year. And mine was the same way. We were very fortunate to have that luxury, but a lot of that was stuff during the week and geared towards where I wanted to be the following year.
Well, thank you for being here, Ricky. And I know you're always sharing these opinions on Title 24. And little known fact, Weege and I talked about changing the name of this to the Title Zero Pod over here, but we decided to stick with SMX Insider for now. But you know, you've been pretty vocal on this Haiden Deegan point about racing this 450 at Budds Creek if he's able to clinch at Unadilla. And I kind of wanted to dive deeper into that because there are very few people that have the context for this in a real life scenario, and you got to live through this of maybe what you could have done differently and what Haiden could learn from that and make a decision beforehand. So please walk us through that.
Yeah, that's a great question, JT. I appreciate you asking. And I think what I said on X, and then it was reposted, I think maybe it could have been taken out of context or taken the wrong way. I was, the way that I learned, and you know this, is, you know, by doing things the wrong way. And for me, I always felt, looking back on my career, if there's one regret or one thing that I would have changed, it would have been racing the opposite coast of Supercross or outdoor the year before. And the reason that I say that is I feel like a guy like Haiden Deegan has enough discipline in his racing, and he's been racing long enough to where he wouldn't put himself in harm's way. And when I say that, I mean by taking the bait. Say he gets the whole shot, and him and Jett and Chase and Eli, and it's a four-way battle for the lead. I feel like he wouldn't get caught up in the hype and let that override what the big picture is. Because one thing that you can't replicate is race situations. But I just feel like he would have a lot to gain in paying it forward to 2026.
On that same topic, okay, so yes, you were hoping he's going to race Budds to prepare for Pro Motocross on a 450 next year.
Oh, I don't know that I hope. I was just saying, like, looking back, and maybe it's selfish on my behalf for thinking that way, is like, man, I just putting myself in his shoes, like, dude, if I could go there and race that, knowing what I could have learned, how it's going to work in the race, how this bike is going to work, I just think it would pay off big time.
Okay, so that would be to learn motocross on the 450 now for next year. Would the same thing apply? Essentially, he's not going to race 450 Supercross until 27 unless he decides to do the opposite coast in 26. So for you, would the same strategy apply potentially?
100%. I would do it 100%. Again, and I go back to, you know, his race IQ, his track IQ also. I feel like he has that discipline, and he's established enough in his career to not take those chances and pull back. I feel like it all starts with the mindset of going to the race, I believe, and like, hey, you got to be super disciplined. Don't do anything you don't feel comfortable doing, and this is a learning opportunity. If the opportunity is there, take it. But if not, you really have to have self-discipline. it just gives you so much knowledge, and you kind of know what to expect. You're not going into it blind like RV and I did. For me, especially in '99, I was a fish out of water, but everyone expected me to win.
All right, good stuff as always from the GOAT. Thanks for joining us. Again, everybody, Title 24 if you want to hear more from Ricky and Ryan every week. And we'll see you at the races soon, right?
Yeah, that's the plan. I have been enjoying my time and living life and being a normal person. But I'm always plugged in watching you guys. You got 2 more rounds. Dilla and Buds, keep crushing it. It's been a lot of fun watching the broadcast. Can't wait to see you guys. God willing, I'll be there at round 1 of the SMX playoffs. And again, thanks for having me on SMX Insiders this week.
Okay, just about ready to wrap up this episode of SMX Insider. I'll tell you where, when, and how you can watch the broadcast over the weekend. Everything will stream live on Peacock or that 80% off SMX Video Pass if you're outside the United States. Race day live at 10 o'clock Eastern Time Saturday morning. That's an hour of qualifying coverage. And the motos, as always, start at 1 o'clock. We'll have a halftime show. We'll have a live post-race show.
Hi folks, Lee Diffie from NBC Sports. If you enjoyed what you just watched, well, it's time to bring the action and subscribe to the Motorsports on NBC YouTube channel. You can have it all: news, highlights, interviews, and analysis. So go for it.